If there's one thing I wear like a badge of honor as a millennial, it's growing up in the golden era of music videos. Back when you could turn on MTV or BET and instantly get pulled into the latest pop, R&B, or hip hop visual masterpiece. Music videos were cinematic and the songs had a way of sticking with you sometimes for decades. The influence went far beyond the sound. It shaped how we dressed, how we talked, and how we saw ourselves. And honestly, some of the best pop culture moments ever came out of that era. When we talk about pop music from the late 90s and early 2000s, we can't forget the artists who helped turn the genre into an experience. Christina Aguilera, Britney Spears, Destiny's Child, Pink, Mariah Carey, TLC, and so many more. Pop music ruled the charts and helped shape the culture into what it is today. And with that being said, thank you so much for tuning into another episode of All Things Girl World. Today, I'm taking you on a trip down memory lane with my top 10 favorite pop songs from the late 90s and early 2000s, and the music videos that made them unforgettable. Kicking off the countdown at number 10 is Dream with their 2001 single, This Is Me. Dream was a pop girl group that consisted of members Melissa, Ashley, Diana, and Holly. Even though they weren't around for a very long time, they definitely left their mark. This Is Me is the second single from their debut album, It Was All a Dream. While it didn't reach the same success as their breakout hit He Loves You Not, peaking at number 39 on the Billboard Hot 100, it still goes down as one of my favorite pop songs of the early 2000s. And who else remembers the remix to This Is Me? One thing I loved about remixes back in the day was that they sounded like entirely different songs, not just an extra verse and some added ad-libs. The remix features a rapper named Kane and was also produced by both Sean Diddy Combs and Mario Winans, both of whom also co-wrote the song. I did also love the blue and white set in the remix video. It was very on brand for the early 2000s. Now, I know a few of my subscribers love dropping fun facts in the comments, which I always look forward to, so here's one for you. Melissa Schumann, one of the members of Dream, played the role of Zoe Parks in the 2003 film Love Don't Cost a Thing alongside Christina Milian and Nick Cannon. Coming in at number 9 is the 1999 pop ballad Sometimes by Britney Spears. Who could forget that album? The light blue CD with the yellow flower in the middle? It was a staple in every pop music collection. As the second single from her debut album, Baby One More Time, Sometimes revealed a softer, more tender side of Britney, one that beautifully contrasted with the confident schoolgirl energy of her breakout hit. The song peaked at number 21 on the Billboard Hot 100 and became a fan favorite, especially amongst younger listeners who connected with its sweet, shy lyrics. And if you were around during the height of the Britney Spears era, then you already know I don't even have to explain how massive she became. She wasn't just a pop star, she was pop culture. She dominated everything from the charts and TRL countdowns to magazine covers and Halloween costumes. Her presence was magnetic and her influence was undeniable. The music video for Sometimes perfectly matched the song's gentle tone. Directed by Nigel Dick, who also directed Baby One More Time, the video featured Britney dressed in all white dancing with her crew along the scenic Malibu boardwalk. The ocean views and the simple yet elegant choreography, it all offered a glimpse into the more vulnerable, wholesome side of Britney's early image. It was soft, iconic, and absolutely everywhere. Although this song is often categorized as R&B, it definitely leans into pop, and honestly, I've always thought of it more as pop than R&B, especially for that era. There You Go is an up-tempo track by Pink released in 2000 as the lead single from her debut album, Can't Take Me Home. The song was co-written by Pink herself along with Kevin Shakespeare Briggs and none other than Candy Burris from the R&B girl group Escape. At that time, Pink was signed to LaFace Records, which was co-founded by L.A. Reid and Babyface. That connection probably explains why There You Go is often grouped with early 2000s R&B, even though it had major pop appeal. Oddly enough, There You Go and Most Girls are two of my favorite songs by Pink, but it doesn't appear that she shares that same sentiment. Pink has shared in past interviews that R&B wasn't her original passion, it was more of a direction she was encouraged to take in order to break into the industry. Under LaFace Records, she was steered towards an R&B sound that didn't fully reflect who she was as an artist. That all started to change with her second album, Misunderstood. It marked a major turning point in her career where she leaned into a pop rock sound and began asserting more creative control over her music. Even if Pink isn't the biggest fan of her early music, there's no denying the impact it had. Those songs gave us feel-good vibes, unforgettable hooks, and a soundtrack to some of our favorite early 2000s memories. Coming in at number 7 is Jessica Simpson's With You from her third studio album, In This Skin. I wish I could place this song higher on the list because that's how much I love it, but there's just so many great pop songs from that era, it gets hard to choose. With You was an anthem of emotional vulnerability and the beauty of being able to fully be yourself around someone who accepts and adores you just as you are. It captured that safe, comfortable love where you don't feel pressured to perform or pretend, just to exist and be appreciated. The video captured Jessica Simpson just as we knew her during that time. If you know, you know. She was married to her then husband Nick Lachey, and together they starred in the 2003 MTV reality show Newlyweds, which also made the video feel even more personal and real. It was a pop culture time capsule, giving us a glimpse into Jessica's down-to-earth charm and making us all feel like we could be soft and silly too. Now, let's keep this countdown going because coming in at number 6 is Christina Aguilera with What a Girl Wants, one of her biggest hits from her 1999 self-titled debut album. Christina was the definition of pop royalty in the late 90s and early 2000s, and What a Girl Wants truly solidified her place in the spotlight. The song was a chart-topping hit, reaching number 1 on the Billboard Hot 100. It was her second consecutive number 1 single in the US after Genie in a Bottle, and notably became the first new number 1 entry of the 2000s on the Hot 100. The music video, directed by Diane Martel, who also directed Genie in a Bottle, features Christina performing as a sort of thank you to her boyfriend. The visuals were light, fun, and girly, and the video ended up earning a few award nominations along the way. This was also a CD I was blessed to own as a young girl, and can I just say I absolutely loved and still love I Turn to You? Christina's voice is a powerhouse, and she'll always be one of my all-time favorite pop artists. And how cool was it to see Christina Aguilera and Sabrina Carpenter perform What a Girl Wants together in 2024 for Spotify's Anniversaries live concert series? It was such a full circle moment and a beautiful nod to the song's 25-year legacy. The number 5 spot on my list of favorite pop songs from the late 90s and early 2000s goes to Maya's 2000 hit single, Case of the Ex. But before we dive into it, I want to offer a quick reminder, not a disclaimer, but a moment to reflect on something important. This is the second song in the countdown where I can already hear someone saying, wait, isn't that R&B? And I get it, but here's the thing. Just because an artist is Black or has a predominantly Black fan base doesn't mean every song they release automatically falls into the R&B or hip-hop category. Black women contributed heavily to pop music and pop culture during this era, and that absolutely deserves to be highlighted. Many of these artists may have started out in R&B, yes, but let's not forget the concept of crossover marketing. Labels often push artists to reach broader audiences by experimenting with pop sounds, and it worked. Their music was everywhere, from TRL to 106 in Park and all over pop video countdowns. And let's be real, crossover works both ways. Just like there were and still are Black artists moving into pop, there were and still are white artists being encouraged to tap into R&B and hip-hop vibes too. The late 90s and early 2000s were truly a shared space for music where genre lines were blurred and good music was just good music. And honestly, if we can accept Eminem, a white rapper, as a hip-hop artist without question, then we should also be able to recognize that artists like Maya, Destiny's Child, Blaque, and TLC contributed just as much to pop music during this era. These women were everywhere on MTV, on Top 40 radio, and teen magazines, and their sound, style, and presence helped define what pop culture looked and felt like at that time. So yes, these are pop songs too. Actually, this could be a whole conversation on its own. Maybe we can explore this concept in a standalone video as well. Let me know in the comments if that's something you'd like to see and a conversation you'd like to have. Case of the Ex is a single from Maya's sophomore studio album, Fear of Flying, and one of her biggest solo records worldwide. The song peaked at number 2 on the Billboard Hot 100, where it stayed for 3 consecutive weeks and reached number 10 on the Hot R&B and Hip Hop Songs chart. It's an up-tempo pop R&B track written by Tracy Hale and produced by Tricky Stewart. Much like Christina Aguilera's What a Girl Wants, the Case of the X video was directed by Diane Martell, and in my opinion is one of the most memorable visuals from that era. It featured incredible choreography set in the desert, led by both Maya and legendary choreographer Tina Landon, whose resume includes icons like Janet Jackson, Prince, Pink, Britney Spears, and more. But can we take a moment to appreciate how great of a dancer Maya has always been? All of her music videos feature strong choreography, and you can tell she's a natural. It makes sense too. She trained in ballet, jazz, and tap as a child. We got a front row seat to that technical precision and confidence in her My Love Is Like Whoa video, which still eats every time. This moment with Case of the X really helped solidify Maya's space in the pop conversation. Even though she was often labeled strictly as an R&B artist, this song, along with the visuals and choreography, shows she was operating in the same world as her pop peers. The sound, the look, the attitude, everything about this era aligned with what was trending in pop music at that time. Which brings me to number 4. This song needs no introduction. The fact that it currently sits at over 1 billion views on YouTube says everything you need to know about its impact on pop culture. Baby One More Time wasn't just a hit, it was a phenomenon. It showed how one song, one video, and one artist could spark an entire generation of pop stars that followed. This track marked the beginning of a new era in mainstream pop, and the ripple effects of its release can still be felt in today's music, visuals, and overall star-making machine. Britney Spears' debut album, Baby One More Time, was both a hit and a cultural reset. The song topped the Billboard Hot 100 for 2 weeks in 1999 and helped launch her debut album straight to number 1 on the Billboard 200. It became a global sensation, hitting number 1 in multiple countries and cementing Britney as the new face of pop. But can you imagine anyone else doing for this track what Britney did? As crazy as it sounds now, this Max Martin produced song was almost recorded by someone else. According to several reports, Baby One More Time was originally offered to groups like TLC and Backstreet Boys, both of whom turned it down. As fate would have it, this song found the perfect home with Britney. Her mix of innocence and attitude, along with her undeniable star quality, gave the track exactly the edge it needed. It was an introduction to a pop icon in the making. And of course, we have to talk about the music video because it was just as impactful as the song itself. Directed by Nigel Dick, the video was set in a high school and featured Britney in a now iconic schoolgirl outfit, tied up shirt, plaid skirt, and all. The concept was simple but incredibly effective, especially paired with sharp choreography, hallway scenes, and that unforgettable gymnasium dance sequence. It captured the spirit of teen pop at that time and instantly connected with a young audience. Britney's mix of charm, confidence, and performance skills made her stand out from the crowd, and the video became a pop culture staple that continues to be referenced and reimagined to this day. Coming in at number 3 is Blaque's Bring It All to Me. Released in 1999, this track was Blaque's biggest hit, peaking at number 5 on the Billboard Hot 100. With its dreamy yet innovative production and catchy hook, Bring It All to Me carved out a unique space in the pop and R&B landscape. But beyond the music itself, Blaque deserves serious credit for their innovative style right out the gate. Even though the futuristic cyber chic look is often associated with the early 2000s, Blaque was already experimenting with that aesthetic in the late 90s. From their metallic outfits to their bold tech-inspired visuals, they were ahead of the curve and honestly helped define a look that would become iconic in the decade that followed. They may not have been around as long as some of their peers, but their impact was undeniable. They brought edge, originality, and a fresh vibe that deserves way more recognition than it gets. The visuals for Bring It All to Me only added to Blaque's futuristic appeal. The music video leaned all the way into the late 90s Y2K energy, complete with metallic fashion, glowing tech, and a soft neon color palette that felt like the future. Everything about it was sleek, stylized, and confidently feminine. It was bold, ahead of its time, and showed that Blaque wasn't afraid of taking creative risks. And if you want to hear more about Blaque's underrated legacy, their music, their style, and why they absolutely deserve more flowers, be sure to check out my full video right here on All Things Girl World. I dive deeper into their debut album, their visuals, and so much more. The video will be linked in the description and the comment section. Coming in at number 2 is Most Girls by Pink. Yes, she's making another appearance on the countdown. I mentioned earlier that this was one of my personal favorite songs growing up, and for good reason. Released in 2000 as the second single from her debut album, Can't Take Me Home, this track was a defining moment in Pink's early career. It peaked at number 4 on the Billboard Hot 100 and helped cement her status as more than just another pop newcomer. Most Girls stood out because Pink had something to say. She delivered a message that felt fresh and bold, especially in an era obsessed with flashy lifestyles. She made it clear she wasn't chasing a man with money. She was looking for love, honesty, and emotional substance. It was empowering, especially for young women navigating the pressures of the early 2000s culture. Pink has since opened up about how she didn't really love how her music career started. She talked about feeling boxed in creatively during this phase with a sound and image that didn't fully represent who she was. Still, even within those early constraints, Most Girls showed flashes of the artist that she would eventually become: strong, self-aware, and unafraid to speak her truth. This track marked a crucial step in Pink's evolution. It may not have been her favorite era, but it gave us a glimpse into the powerhouse she was about to become. Finally, we've made it to number 1, and it's none other than Lady Marmalade by Christina Aguilera, Maya, Pink, and Lil' Kim from the 2001 Moulin Rouge soundtrack. I mean, how could it not be? This powerhouse collab was a moment, bold, glamorous, and absolutely unforgettable. Now, of course, we have to start by acknowledging the original. This track is a cover of the 1974 hit by LaBelle, Patti LaBelle's legendary group, who first gave us that iconic hook. That version was groundbreaking in its own right, and when this remake dropped nearly 3 decades later, it introduced a whole new generation to the magic of Lady Marmalade with a 2000s twist. This version topped the Billboard Hot 100 at number 1 for 5 consecutive weeks and dominated charts worldwide. And let's not forget, it was produced by none other than Missy Elliott, whose influence added a whole new level of edge and innovation to the track. The music video was a pure spectacle. Moulin Rouge fantasy, corsets and diamonds, dramatic lighting, and each woman fully owning her spotlight. It was opulent, sexy, and theatrical. But beyond the visuals and production, what really made this version of Lady Marmalade so special was the cast. They nailed it with the lineup. Think about it. Maya, Christina Aguilera, and Pink all made this countdown. And Pink, she's appeared 3 times. That alone shows you the level of cultural impact we're talking about. These women were dominating their respective lanes, pop, R&B, and hip-hop, and bringing them together wasn't just smart, it was iconic. Lady Marmalade was a pop culture moment, one that celebrated bold femininity, vocal power, and creative collaboration. And to this day, it's still one of the most legendary girl group collabs ever put together. And there you have it, my top 10 favorite pop songs from the late 90s to early 2000s. These songs didn't just dominate the charts, they defined an era, shaped pop culture, and left their mark on our hearts, and maybe even our old CD collections too. Now it's your turn. I want to hear from you. What's your favorite pop song from that era? Did one of your faves make the list, or is there a hidden gem you still play on repeat? Drop your top picks in the comments below, and let me know if you'd like to see more countdown style videos like this in the future. I had so much fun putting this together, and I'd love to do more. As always, thank you so much for watching, supporting, and being a part of this little corner of girl world. Until next time, stay nostalgic, stay fabulous, and I'll see you all in the next video.